Okay, I'm gone. And I wanted to explain this to you guys, but since I'm not here, I figured I would make you a video so that I could explain what you're supposed to do after you finish collecting your data and making your graphs. Your graphs are going to be included in what we call our data section, and our results section is going to be used to explain what our data is saying. So you finish collecting your data and you've created a graph to represent this data, but what do you do now? You might think that you would jump to analyzing your data, but first we have to describe what our data is saying in words. So first we need to make sure our data section is complete. Keep in mind that our data section is solely just our data, but we never include raw data. So raw data would be like your tables, or would be observations. And we do not include that in our data section. No table in our data section. The only time that you would include your data, your raw data, in your data section is if it was needed to give evidence for specific conclusions which cannot be obtained by looking at an analysis or summation of the data. You'd want to present your data in the form of figures, graphs, and/or descriptions of observations. So, you want to include your graphs in your data section. If you were doing an experiment that required specific observations, you would want to describe those in a paragraph form in your data section. You want to make sure all tables are included in your data section and are labeled. So you want to make sure every part is labeled on your graph, and you want a title to your graph that explains what you are seeing on the graph. So now we move on to our results section. In our results, we never interpret our data. That is for our conclusion section. You don't want to make any inferences about our data because this section is just for explaining the data in words. So we can see our data on the table. I can see that the no coffee section is higher than the with coffee section, but we want to state that in words. So for example, we have our table, and then in our results section, so this is our data section, then in our results section, results, we would say table 1 shows the change in average reaction time between trials without and with coffee. The average reaction time without coffee was 0.273 seconds, whereas the average reaction time with coffee was 0.177 seconds. So we're stating what we see here. I'm using my words to say what this table is showing me. And then I go on to say this shows an increase in reaction speed of 0.096 seconds. So I can see that there's a change here and that there's a difference. And I am stating that in words, that this shows an increase in reaction speed of 0.096 seconds. And I got that by subtracting this amount from this amount. Notice how I'm not saying because of the coffee there was an increase in reaction speed of 0.096 seconds. I am just stating the data. I am not making any inferences or interpretations. So with that, I want you to finish making your graphs and start working on your results section. So explain to me in words what your data is saying without any interpretation. I will see you tomorrow.